Let's talk about one of the biggest agile myths that is out there for those of you who are looking to become a Scrum Master. One of the most frequently heard myths that I hear, whether it's in Scrum Master Facebook groups or just chatter online, is in order to be a Scrum Master, I need to be technical. And why is that brought up? Because a lot of people feel or they're told that they need to have experience as a developer in order to help other developers on their team, in order to really understand what's going on. And this really isn't the case. And I'm speaking from experience. Now, I did go to school, just as a full disclosure, I went to school for IT and I did do computer programming. I was, as I'll completely admit, I was terrible at programming. But I would say one of the most important things is, as a Scrum Master, you want to have that technical curiosity if you're working on a software project. When you're working as a Scrum Master, there are instances where you can be working on a product that's not even technical. You can use Scrum in a software project, and that's where it's most frequently used, but Scrum isn't all necessarily to do with technology. And I want to give a little bit more information around why you don't need to be technical or things that you can do in order to improve your technical understanding and actually help the developers or other members of your Scrum team so that you're able to help them reach their goals despite your lack of technical experience. So the reason this question got brought up, or a little bit more context from one of my former clients, was they pretty much said, I'm hearing that I need to be technical, and I can see where people are coming from when they say you need to be technical, because that's a way that you'll build trust as a Scrum Master with your developers on your team. And I'll put it out there that I think it can be a good thing. If you have technical expertise or technical background, it's going to help you better understand what's going on within the team. But it's really not necessary to have a development background, because you're there in a specific Scrum Master role to help your team to reach their goals, whether that's helping them overcome impediments, whether that's helping them understand what the actual goals are and being able to achieve that, but you're not the one that's doing the coding. So that's a clear reason why you wouldn't need to have a super technical background. So I want to give you some tips if you're not technical on what you can do and how you can build trust. For me, I've gone into a lot of different Scrum Master roles, and because there's so many different types of technology, there could be projects that you're working on that maybe they're using something like .NET, or they're using a lot of AWS related things. And try to keep these things in the back of your mind. It's not super important the types of technologies we're talking about. The point I'm trying to make here is that there are so many different types of technologies, and when you're going from one role in a company to another, or you're moving companies, you're going to be faced with different types of technologies. So to think that you have to know every single programming language in order to be a Scrum Master is just dead wrong. So let's talk about an actual experience that I've had starting as a Scrum Master in a new role. So for instance, I worked at a company and I had no understanding about AWS other than the fact that it was services provided by Amazon. What were the things that I did to try to help my team and to get more up to speed from a technical understanding? The first thing that I recommend is, if you want to build trust and get to know your team better, set up informal meetings with your team members when you first start on the team. That means your first week there, get to know who's on your Scrum team, whether it's developers or testers or some other role, and then get 30 minutes to an hour on their calendar and understand more about where are they coming from. So how long have they been with the company? What technologies do they use or have they used? And then you'll get an understanding. Let's say, for instance, they're working with products related to AWS. So you've already started to build that trust because you're showing a genuine interest in the developers that you're working with. You're showing a genuine interest in the actual product that they're working on. And that's really the stepping stones in order to be able to build that trust and be able to grow your understanding of the technologies that are used. The next thing is asking a lot of questions. As a new Scrum Master, You want to ask questions about the product. You want to understand what are the technologies they're using, and understand like what does that mean in terms of, is this a new technology the company is using? Are there any challenges that they're dealing with? And then once you start to work on this Scrum project, if there are questions that come up, that's where hopefully you have a good development team. In all cases that I've worked in different companies, the development team has been super helpful in understanding, or the QA testers have been super helpful, that I might say, okay, you're talking about these things with AWS. Maybe you do a little bit of Googling to understand what the abbreviations or the definitions mean. If you need more context on what it is that they're using and why they're using that, or how they're using that at your company and on your product, that's where you get time on their calendar again. Hey, do you mind if I set up 30 minutes to an hour, whatever you need, to understand more about the technology that's being used? And again, you're continuing to build trust, and you're building up your own technical understanding about what's being used. Am I saying to sit down and have them walk you through the code? Absolutely not. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. But for me, it's more understanding the concepts, like what are the databases that are being used? What else? Like, what is the front end technology? Just getting a better understanding. And then it's going to make it more comfortable for you if you can know the lingo, if you can kind of understand it. They throw out a word, oh, I know that that means a database that they're using. And I know that they're running into a challenge with this. This is a new technology that they're working on, and these are the blockers they have. And then the last thing I want to mention, as far as being able to build trust and help your team despite that technical knowledge, is that you can ask questions or table things during the daily Scrum. So say, for instance, you're in a daily Scrum and one of the developers mentions that they're having a blocker with, let's say, a firewall. Okay, you don't need to be an expert on firewalls or know all the different technology necessarily that they're using. What they might care about is, say, that this blocker has been sitting out there for a couple of days and they've tried without any luck to get in touch with the right person, or they've gotten in touch with the right person and nobody is responding back. So this is blocking the team from achieving their sprint goal. You're there as a Scrum Master, not to get into all the technical details to help them fix the firewall issues. You can take this opportunity, if they need your help in escalating it, to say, who are you talking to? Like, what are the blockers? How can I help? And that's going to help a lot more than being heads down and being able to talk about exactly what that firewall is doing. I do encourage you to do your own research. I find it very helpful to try to learn as much of the lingo, to try to go out and watch YouTube videos or even quick articles, but I don't spend all of my time trying to gain a technical understanding, because that's not really the point in being a Scrum Master. The biggest thing is, if you're dealing with technology in a product, is let me have a technical curiosity. That way I can help my team. That way I can speak the language and have the basics. And then you're really there to help coach, mentor them, help remove impediments. And there's so many other things that you can be helping them with I won't get into today. But I hope you found this information helpful in terms of whether or not you need to be technical. You definitely don't need to be technical, and how you can help your team despite the fact that you might not have a technical background. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much.